Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with the miserable liberal and Rob Lacoe.
Hello.
Hello.
So, the 2018 midterms are coming up. And if you don't know how this works, in the Democratic primary, the D-triple-C, D-trip, as it's called, D-triple-C, the 3C stands for Congressional Campaign Committee. Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, D-triple-C. And they're supposed to help people get elected to Congress who are Democrats or running in the Democratic Party. They're not really supposed to weigh in primaries, but they do. And this is what this article is about in The Intercept by Ryan Grimm and Lee Fang, or Fong. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. The dead enders, candidates who signed up to battle Donald Trump, must get past the Democratic Party first. So we know that the Democratic Party, they focus on money. So if you want to run for Congress and you said you want to run as a Democrat and the D-triple-C, the first question they'll ask is how much money can you raise? How much money do you have? Where can you get money from? That's all they care about. There's a couple of reasons for that. I think the biggest reason is because they're in bed with their own consultants. And they want you to get that money and give it to them because that's all they think about. They make a good observation. They say focusing on dollars, the party winds up with medical device executives running for office rather than American government teachers or football coaches. So by having that focus on money, that's what you end up with. You end up with Chuck Schumer, Tim Kaine. Democratic Party officials are not by nature moved to deep reflection by election losses. They have a plan, and they're sticking to it. The bad news for grassroots activists is that the Democratic Party's leaders cannot be reasoned with, but they can be beaten. If Democratic leaders are getting the sense that 2018 could be a wave election, much like the 2006 election, so people hated George Bush and Dick Cheney so much. They also hated the Democrats who went along with them because they did. They went along with the war. They went along with warrantless spying. They went along with the Patriot Act. They went along with tort. They went along with it all. They did. Which is why Howard Dean used to say, I'm from the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, and people would cheer. Because the Democrats became Republicans. And guess what? Everyone notices. So in 2006... they had a wave election. People were so sick of the Iraq War. They were so sick of George Bush and Dick Cheney that they rushed in and the Democrats had a blue wave election. So they say, well, let's look at the last one. We had a last blue wave election in 2006. Rahm Emanuel had his theory on how to run stuff in the Democratic Party. The D-triple-C was run by Rahm Emanuel then, who institutionalized the practice of only endorsing candidates with a demonstrable ability to either fundraise or pay for their own campaigns, which is how you get Congress full of fucking millionaires. Democrats that year beat 22 Republican incumbents. Wow. And picked up 8 open seats that had previously been held by Republicans. So this is the Democrats' strategy now is people are going to vote for us because they hate Trump and the Republicans, even though we're just like the Republicans. They just caved into them twice again, just 1 week. 1 week they just caved into them. And why did the Democrats cave into the Republicans over the budget deal in DACA? Because their donors told them to. Because the Democrats don't represent you at all. Because winners write history, the strategy has become conventionally accepted as wisdom worth following. The conventionally accepted as that wisdom being get people with a lot of money to run. That's the wisdom they're talking about. But if you take a closer look at the races themselves, they suggest that the D-triple-C was flying blind. So let's look at some of those. So even though they won because of the blue wave in 2006, they had a lot of failures because of that stupid strategy. They won in spite of that stupid strategy, not because of it. And let's take a look at it. They go, for instance, in California, the D-triple-C backed Steve Filson, a conservative pilot, against Jerry McNerney, who Emanuel believed was hopelessly liberal. After McInerney beat him in the primary, a peeved Rahm Emanuel said the DCCC wouldn't be helping him in the general. So this guy who's actually progressive beats the guy who's not, the conservative pilot who Rahm Emanuel liked because he's conservative and he has a lot of money. So he beats him in the primary. Rahm Emanuel's like, I'm not helping you. Screw you. Not helping you in the general. And guess what? A coalition of environmental groups got behind him instead, and he won anyway. Here's another case in upstate New York. Rahm Emanuel went with Judy Edelot, a former Republican who was a tremendous fundraiser. She was crushed by environmentalist and musician John Hall, after which the DCCC shunned the race as unwinnable. Hall won. In district after district, the National Party is throwing its weight behind candidates who are out of step with the national mood. That's happening right now. The DCCC is throwing its weight behind candidates who are out of step with the national mood. They're getting a bunch of Hillary Clintons to run for Congress. The DCCC, known as the D-Trip, I said it before, D-Trip, it says it right there, D-Trip, has officially named 18 candidates as part of its red to blue program. So they're going to take seats that were red and switch it to blue. Now, a lot of that is because the districts were gerrymandered to be Republican, but in the last 10 years, those districts have changed, and there's a lot of those red districts which are now blue, or the demographics are, put it that way. So they have this thing called the red to blue program, and they're backing 18 candidates, DCCC. And who are them? Well, in many of those districts, there are at least one progressive challenger. The party is working to elbow aside, some more viable than others. Like, you all remember James Thompson. He had that special election in Kansas, and then the DCCC wouldn't give him support because he's too liberal in Kansas. He's running again for the Wichita seat in 2018, and he said the DCCC is specific about why it wants candidates to raise money. And here's what he says. You want to know why the DCCC wants candidates to raise a lot of money? He says they want you to spend a certain amount of money on consultants, and it's their list of consultants that you have to choose from. Those consultants tend to be DCCC veterans. A memo the party committee sent to candidates in December lays out some of the demands the DCCC made around spending. We already covered that memo they sent to the candidates running in the Democratic primaries. They said, don't say anything that will hurt the Democrat in the general. Well, how are you supposed to run in a primary if you can't actually run against the guy, whoever the person is? So they said that. Plus, they said you had to put 75% of your advertising in traditional media. But the increased party primary meddling in races in other parts of the country has come at a time when the DCCC is increasingly wedded to congressional moderates. In somewhat of a reprisal of the Emanuel strategy, the DCCC is leaning on business-friendly Democrats to take back the House. Just like what we said, the Democrats learned nothing from Trump. From losing to Trump, they've learned nothing. They're doubling down on Hillary Clinton. They're getting a bunch of Hillary Clintons to run for Congress, and they're hoping you vote for them because their donors want them, and they're hoping you vote for them because Trump. Even though they're going along with Trump. Ron?
And we all know business-friendly is code for corporate and for the 1%.
Yes.
That's what business-friendly is code for. But, I did learn something new today, Jimmy.
What?
For the longest time, I thought the CCC stood for corrupt Clinton cash. So I learned something new.
Bam, Ron with a... The new collaboration is a stunning reversal for the party that has seen a groundswell of support for progressive ideas. Still the most popular guy in the Democratic Party is Bernie Sanders, even though he's not a Democrat. Such as the $15 minimum wage and single-payer health care. that are staunchly opposed by the blue dog wing of the party. Let's get a little of this. The blue dogs, which you know what the blue dogs are. The blue dogs are Republicans who like to pretend I don't know why, they're Republicans who are cool with abortion.
Some of them might have a gay friend.
Some of them might have a gay friend, yeah. Operatives from the DCCC met on a weekly basis with the Blue Dogs to discuss recruitment and how to best steer resources to a growing slate of centrist Democratic candidates.
Why do I need to consult with the Blue Dogs on the progress of the Democratic Party? How? Of course they came up with this.
This is amazing. This is exactly why you shouldn't have voted for Hillary Clinton. This is exactly why you should never vote for a corporate Democrat. This is exactly why. Because they don't represent you. That's why. And they're going to give you more. And they learn nothing from losing to Trump. You're upset about Trump. They're not really upset about Trump. The Democrats are not that upset about Trump. I know that sounds funny. They're not. The DCCC recognizes that the path to the majority is through the Blue Dogs. Representative Kirsten Sinema, a Democrat from Arizona, chair of the Blue Dog PAC, told Politico.
Okay.
But there's more than one way to raise big money, get this is a great example. So this Jess King, a DCCC official, said that the Pennsylvanian, Jess King, wasn't invited to candidate week in Washington because Jess King's campaign had not been in close touch with the national party, and that party's support is a two-way street. So they're saying, well, she's not supporting us, so she's a progressive. That's why they don't want her. And so guess what she did? But by the party's favorite metric, fundraising, going it alone hasn't hurt Jess King. In the fourth quarter of 2017, relying on small donors, Jess King added another $200,000 to her war chest, bringing her above $300,000 for the first year. That's pretty good, doing it with small donors, without the DCCC's help. Her fundraising broke a record last year held by Christina Hartman, who was a corporate Democrat who beat Jess King last year. Now, Jess King, as a progressive doing small donations, is out fundraising their biggest corporate fundraiser. Whoa. So their stupid strategy is being repudiated right in their fucking face, and they don't care. You have to understand that it's not like the DCCC is like, well, I think this is the best way to win. They're like, this is the way we want to win. I do not want to win with progressives. You know the saying. You know it's the truism that the Democrats would rather lose to a Republican than win with a progressive. So this isn't their idea of the best way to win, because the best way to win would be to ape Bernie Sanders' program and his platform, because it's the most popular platform. He's the most popular politician in the country. You would just want a bunch of Bernie Sanders. They don't want not even one. The DCCC. So let's look at some of the races this year. Like in California District 50, Amar Campa-Najjar had his moment in the viral sun earlier last year as the internet celebrated the hotness of this congressional candidate. He has since won the backing of the Justice Democrats and a slew of local labor and Democratic groups. His opponent, Josh Butner, has said that he was not recruited by the DCCC, but he was encouraged to run by local Democrats. The new Democratic Coalition PAC, the pro-Wall Street wing of the House Democrats, has given that guy, Butler, $5,000. Butner was cited in 2 articles about the party's ability to recruit veterans. The DCCC made sure to alert reporters about the coverage, issuing a press release. So they're, again, working against the progressive, working for the conservative. Pro-Wall Street Democrat. That's who the Democrats are. And again, it's not because they think he has the best chance of winning. It's because they don't want to win any other way. A win with a progressive is a loss for the DCCC. You get that, right? Because they want to win for Wall Street, not for you. It's becoming even in the era of Trump, they're still doing this. They don't care. They don't care if they keep losing as long as progressives don't win. And why? Because their donors want it that way. Who's their donors? Wall Street, Big Pharma, the military-industrial complex, and big oil. That's it. I don't want to assume foul play from the party, but there have been people suggesting they're tipping the scales, says Campa-Najjar. You think? You think they're tipping the scales? He said that on January 27th when the district does its pre-endorsement voting. He said that on January 27th when the district does its pre-endorsement voting, he hopes to win the votes of those delegates by a wide margin to send a message. But that message will not be received by the DCCC. The message that, hey, you guys should support progressives, that will never be received. I'll throw it over to my panel.
Well, this is one of the reasons that I think the Democrats are kind of broken beyond repair and a new third party is needed, because this group in principle and as far as the voters are concerned, they are already an obsolete gatekeeper. If we had a viable, contendable third party, they would be a complete obsolete gatekeeper and we'd never have to worry about the GCCC ever again.
We've had this conversation a lot. You know, it's like the Democrats are just there to be an obstacle for progress. Where's the progressive candidates that they're championing? The DCCC.
No, that's the hope. That's what we're saying.
Well, and I just want to paraphrase one of my favorite Twitter parody accounts, Peter Douche. Keep in mind that Bernie's platform and his ideas just represent the fringe group of the majority of Democrats.
Yes.
And that's the truth.
Right.
So your government's broken, your Democratic, you know why? Because your Democratic Party's broken. Why? Because Bill Clinton and Al Gore decided to get in bed with the people they're supposed to be fighting against, which is Wall Street, Big Pharma, the military-industrial complex, and big oil. Those are the people you're supposed to be fighting. You can't be fighting for Wall Street and fighting for workers. Their agendas are diametrically opposed. And this is an economy that's run by the banks. And this is how it went. This is how it ends up. Income inequality is bigger since the Middle Ages. Middle Ages. So it should be a huge blue wave. It still might be a blue wave, but we're going to get a bunch of goddamn corporate Democrats. And you see what happened this week? The Democrats caved in twice to Donald Trump on the budget. Twice. They have DACA, which is favored by 9 out of 10 people in the country. 9 out of 10. The Democrats rolled over, gave up 90% of the country. They didn't stand up for 90% of the country. It's sad. It's worse than sad. It's a crisis. Like I say one or two more elections like this with corporate Democrats and there will be real revolution. How much more can people take? I don't know. Again, 63% of the country can't afford a $1,000 emergency. 50% of all the people in the United States are poor or low income. 50% of all wage earners earn less than $30,000 a year. This is what we're left with. This is because, and there we go. Democrats are like, ignore it. Ignore it. Let's keep doing the bidding of Wall Street. Let's not help people ever. And by the way, let's keep spending money on the military because all the money it would have taken to send everybody to college for free, the Democrats gave it to the military. They gave it no fight, no nothing, not even a debate. Whew. So all I can ask you, we get emails every day of people telling us that they're unsubscribed from our show and they thought we were joking. So please make sure you're subscribed. And then click that bell so you'll get a notice when we drop a video. They don't always notify you, but we have to try. We have to fight back against the bastards. Come to our live show, March 25th in Austin, Texas, February 16th in Burbank, California, or become a patron. Thanks for your support.